In this video, we're going to learn how to create animations and visual effects using jQuery. We're going to be using the same source code as in the previous file. The only thing is we reset the jQuery script and also we deleted all the buttons in the previous script. Okay, so first of all, we'd like to introduce the fade in, fade out concepts. Basically, we can make a certain HTML element fade out. So rather than making it hide, we can hide it in slow motion, and that's what fade out means. And the same thing for fade in. So rather than showing the elements using the show method, we're gonna use another method that will just fade in the elements in slow motion. All right. So first, let's create a button just before Facebook. And we want this button to fade out Facebook. And let's give it an ID. Fade out Facebook. All right. So we want to be able to click on the button and make Facebook fade out. So let's access the button using its ID. Okay, fade out Facebook. Okay, and the event is click. And the function to execute is going to be as following. So we need a statement where we access the Facebook div, okay, using its ID. And then, so we want to make this div fade out. The method we need to use for that is fade out. So let's try this without any parameters and see what we get. So if we click on the button, so we can see that the div has just faded out. So it's exactly the same as the hide method, which is this changing the display property to none. But this time we're just doing it in slow motion. Okay, so we can add a parameter inside this method. So let's try, for example, slow. Just see. So you can see that the fade out is slow. Let's try fast. You can see that it is faster. Also, we can try a duration in milliseconds. So this is just saying how long it will take for the element to fade out. Okay. And also we can add another parameter which is going to be a callback function. So we can define a function in the second parameter which will tell the browser what happens once the element has faded out. So let's try something like this. So let's try a function that will do a window alert hi, for example. So let's try and see. So the element is fading out, and when it's done, we can see that the function is executed. Okay, so that's how the method fade out works. So this time we want Facebook to fade in. Okay, so let's create a button for that. So, and the ID is going to be fade in Facebook. Okay, fade in, and the code is going to be a little bit different. So we're just going to copy the same code, and this time we're accessing the fade in button. So the event is still clicking. Okay, and okay, so the function goes still there. So basically, the method we're going to be using this time is going to be fade in. Okay, so fade in. So again, it's the usage is exactly similar to fade out. We can use it without parameters. So if we make Facebook fade out first, okay, So we've got fade in Facebook there. Okay, so let's try again. So we make Facebook fade out. Okay, and then if we click on fade in, we can see Facebook fading in. All right, so that's how we use the fade out and fade in functions. You can try on your own to add other parameters like we did for the fade out method, and it will give you exactly the same stuff. Okay, now we're gonna create another button. So we want to have a button that will do both the fade in and fade out. Okay, so you can guess what the method is going to be this time. It's going to be fade toggle. Okay, so let's try it. So basically, let's have a third button first, and just give us an ID of fade toggle. Okay, let's have some text there, fade toggle, and okay, this time if we access the button using its ID, so it's going to be fade toggle, and the event is click, accessing Facebook, and we're using the fade toggle method. Okay, and we can try to use one parameter showing the duration of the animation. So if we click on fade toggle, okay, and if we click again, we can see that Facebook comes back. All right, okay, so we can apply this to all divs. So let's try to apply this to Apple and Microsoft as well within the same click. So let's add, so let's say Apple will have a fade toggle with 2000 milliseconds, and Microsoft, let's set that to 3000, for example. Okay, let's see the effects. So if we click there, you can see the effects, and if we click again, you can see that they all come back. All right, so now we're going to move to something else. We're going to move to another method that will help us create an animation using properties of the elements. So for example, we can make a certain div to get animated and move both the width from a certain value to another value. We can change the background color, we can change the height, we can change the opacity as well. All right, so let's have a look at one example. So first, let's create a button for that. So we're going to create an animate button. So the ID is going to be animate. Let's put some text there, animate. Okay, so let's apply this to the Facebook div, for instance. So first of all, we're accessing the animate button using its ID. Okay, and the event is click. All right, and we are defining a function. All right, so we're going to access the Facebook div, all right, using its ID, and then we're using a new method. It's going to be animate. Okay, so inside the parameters of the method, we're going to need to put all the properties that we want to change, and we need curly brackets where we're going to put all the properties in, and we can try to set the width to a new value. So for example, 200 pixels. We can change the height as well. Okay, let's try. Let's set the height to 50, for example. Okay, and also we can change the opacity to 0.5. Okay, let's try this and see. Okay, so just to make the animation smooth, we're gonna set the margin of paragraphs to 0. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so we can see how the animation works. All right, we can also add a duration for the animation, so as a second parameter. So the first parameter includes all the properties to change within curly brackets, and the second one we can set the duration of the animation. And if we try it, okay, we can see that. All right, okay, now let's try another example. Let's just comment this one, and this time we can make the lift go through several animations one by one, okay, rather than having the same animation changing several properties. We can change one property at a time. So let's do this again. So we're going to access the animate button first using its ID, and then the event is click. Right, function is going to be as following. Okay, so first let's access the Facebook div. Okay, use the animate function, and this time let's change the width first. Okay, width, and let's set it to 200 pixels, for example, and let's have a duration there. Okay, let's just say slow. Okay, let's copy, or let's duplicate this line and add another animation where we change the height to 300 pixels, and let's have another animation where we change the height again to 100, and finally we can change the width to 300, for example. Okay, so let's try this. Okay, so we can see that each animation will run separately, and one runs after the other. Okay, so we have a sequence of animations. There is a function that we can use to delay a certain animation. It's the delay method. So before the animate method, we can just have a delay, and we can say it will need a parameter there. So we just need to say how many milliseconds we want to delay the animation. And if we try that, so you can see the first animation, second one, and third one, they all run, and then we have a delay to run the final animation because of the delay method. All right, so that's how we create effects and animations using jQuery.